Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to our first podcast. This is the At Rising Temps podcast right here with my brother, Mark Temp. We're doing our thing right now, and we're super excited to bring this to everyone. It's one of our things that we wanted to do during this quarantine time. Number one, hopefully everyone is staying safe. Again, wash your hands, sneeze into your elbows, and do all that kind of cool crazy stuff. But let's get into what we came and wear your mask. There you go. Mask up, baby. Hashtag mask up. If you are new to the hobby, if you are a longtime card collector, or you are in this to make some money, if you want to flip and do some investing, you've come to the right place. We are by no means ultra super duper experts, and we are not super green and not novice. We are in the middle, and hopefully that's where everyone can kind of grasp and take all of our information and run with it. So,
we're not professionals. We're not exactly beginners. We've been doing homework. We've been trying to figure more stuff out as we go along. So, this is kind of our journey. Join us on our journey. Hopefully we can share some information with you, and we can, or you can share some information with us, and then we can all bounce back on with some information and make this successful for us. So
a little bit about who you see on the screen, a little bit about Chris Lord, that's me, and then my brother Mark. Middle school is when we got into the hobby, early 90s, when the NBA was the NBA. Jordan winning 3 championships in a row, coming off of the back-to-back Pistons. Then you had a lot of stuff happening in baseball and football, but we really were driven by basketball, being hometown Houston right there. That's right, we're always repping. Got to rep the Astros and the Texans too. So sports in the early 90s for us was very significant in our lives, and that's kind of why we decided to take it a step further and collect cards, right? So we were kind of the end of the junk wax era, the tail end of it. So we started collecting, number one, our favorite players, I think, and we kind of used television as our barometer to find out who our favorite players are, because of course we're biased coming from H-Town. We picked up a lot of H-Town guys, right? So, but I know my brother for sure can attest to this, big MJ fan, right? I mean,
oh yeah,
everything MJ.
Michael Jordan. I just got this lot.
Oh, good
of him.
Nice.
I was excited. I got like 20 of them for like a steal. It was amazing.
We were gonna wait to show our cards, and then all of a sudden I say MJ, and he's
you say MJ, and I'm all over it. He's a GOAT. Greatest of all time. I'm gonna get some hate DMs from that one. That's fine.
That's a little bit of a background for us and how we got started in the hobby.
See, let's talk about what's going on in the sports world right now. What do you think is going on in the sports world right now, and how do you think that's going to affect the world of sports cards?
Go. So granted, everything that's happened during quarantine, sports was put on hold, and for both, I know for myself, and I can speak for my brother, sports is a huge part of our lives. And for sports to take a back seat and put everything in perspective was one thing, but to get sports back is something else. And I think it kind of was the jump off with basketball. Basketball really kind of was the first sport to get back into the swing of things. I'm talking about American sports, because obviously Korean baseball happened on the other side of the world. But in terms of here in the States, it was NBA basketball. And, I got to say that they're doing it right, doing it through quarantine and making sure everyone is safe. Crazy, but basketball cards are just on the rise. Everything about basketball has been on the rise.
Yes.
So basketball's looking good. We're in the playoffs right now, right? And I think they're going to crown a champion in next week. That's right. Hoping it's the Houston Rockets, baby.
Go Rockets.
So basketball is looking good. I think basketball is looking good. And if you're not in on basketball, basketball might be on the decline as people start to focus in on football. So with that being said, Basketball cards, probably a good buy now because everything's kind of winding down. Football cards, I know me and you have both picked up football cards because football's on the rise.
Oh, absolutely. Right before the season kicks off here in the next week, in a couple of days here, we're aiming to, see a potential spike like we did earlier on this year with basketball. And again, to touch on basketball and how great the NBA handled the situation, I felt like they took all the precautions. Most of all the players felt safe enough and continued on in the bubble. And, we are where we're at now. And we've seen those prices take off. They've gone through the roof, essentially. So I think towards the end of the summer here, we're seeing some soccer kind of following the same model with with the Champions League. So with Bayern and then with PSG going in, I think that really sparked the soccer prices to go up too, because I was able to, go in early and find a couple of soccer players here and there. And I think likely now we're seeing a downward trend because of the basketball coming to a close here. I mean, we're getting deeper and deeper into the playoffs and closer to the finals. So I think that's trending down for other players that are no longer playing. And now we're going to see the same uptick, I think, with football, as the sports are coming back into playing and everything. And baseball is following the same trends here where, after halfway through the season now, on the second half of the baseball season, we're still seeing some prices going, trickling up for key players. So I think one is reflecting the other, right? The sports world is translating so much faster with the technologies that we've got. It's almost instantaneous. Right. As some people were talking about in the championship final game, after what's his name scored the goal, his prices went through the roof, like almost instantaneously. So I mean, it's almost immediate now what we're seeing. So I'm excited.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. It is super reflective. It's a parody, pretty much. So if one sports entity is successful, they're just going to share that same model so that everyone will continue to be successful, right, so that sports will continue to thrive. So. Right. So this is what we want to talk about. Like I mentioned earlier, as kids in middle school, we were collecting cards of our favorite players, of people that were trending at the time, just popular sports figures, because we wanted a little piece of the Michael Jordan. Yes, of course, I said his name. And we wanted a little piece of, just some of the best players in the sports at the time. And so that's part of our personal collection, right? So those are the cards you want to put in your personal collection. They have some sort of sentimental value that you cannot put a price on. So that's one lane of the hobby. The other lane of the hobby is investment. So if you want to do some investing and you want to turn a nice little penny on what you collect, you pretty much just purchase your card, let it sit for a little bit, and wait. What you're really trying to do is wait till the perfect time when that player peaks, when it hits a pinnacle and the market is just clamoring for that player. Right. That's when you can turn a nice pretty penny. And in sports, when sports restarted, the reboot, I mean, every single person, big superstar name to last person on the bench, if they had a great game or a game-winning shot, I mean, their prices spiked, and they spiked through the roof, right?
One key example, or a couple key examples here that I've got that I can pull out of the air was when Bol, right? Bol was in the first, 8 games. He was active. The bubble just got kicking up again. Denver was trying to, get all their starters back up to speed. So then they looked at the younger players. They looked at Bol, and and he had those really key productive games towards the end of the last, of the 8 games there, and his prices went steadily up. I was again able to luckily pick up a couple of prisms, so I followed that trend. But now, if you look at it right now, since he hasn't gotten much playing time, again talking about how instantaneous the market can be, it's kind of trickle down again. So, prices are still at a point where I could sell if I wanted to, but at the same time, I think I'll hold on a little bit and then see how far Denver goes. So that's kind of the angle that you have to have if you're, and sometimes you can even start off as a short-term flip investment and see if you can get a good return on your investment, or based on their performance, based on their health. If, let's just say somebody, God forbid, ever gets injured during the season, what you want to do is just hold on to that unless he's still staying hot in the media, unless he's staying hot on the trending topics, then, you want to sit on that until he comes back next season and then outperforms again. Those are a couple of different suggestions that I had after going through that process myself. So.
Right. So relevancy is super important. Staying on top and doing your research, being in real time with your player is very important for investment. The hardest part for me is getting a personal collection, right? For me, it's Hakeem Olajuwon. I just got a ton of Hakeem Olajuwon stuff.
The dream cards.
Yep, here we go. Got this right here.
There it is.
That is a PSA 10. That's
a nice card.
Thanks. It's a Prism.
Nice card.
And Prism's one of those really good brands. And for me, this card is significant because we won the championship. We're the back-to-back champions, 94, 95. And, that holds a really big value in me that doesn't have a money or a dollar sign to it. But do I sell this card? I mean, I probably have to if it means this or that, right? Life or death or whatever.
So it's going to be up to you, right? It's everything that you want it to be. I feel like is going to be up to you. And for any of the collectors or investors out there, I feel like it's going to be up to you. It's not just always, keep and collect for your personal collection versus buy low, sell high for the investors and short-term flippers. I think you can mix and match. And that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier, was that, sometimes you may start on one end and then find out that you enjoy the other side better, or do them both at the same time. That's kind of what I'm doing. And I'm finding, of course, I'm just kind of getting into the whole hobby again too. So I'm tripping up on these different hurdles, and I think that part of the mistakes that I'm trying to make and I'm trying to learn from, I'm also doing my homework on watching different people. Like, everybody can shout out to I'll send a personal shout out to PSA Collector and Sports Card Investor. I mean, those are two key guys that we get a lot of information from. And, they're, one of them, they're at different levels. I would say that Sports Card Investor, Jeff, he's all the way up here, whereas he's very advanced. He does so much transaction, so he really is into both. You can tell that he's into both sides of it as well as PSA Collector, really, because they're both doing the same thing. They're buying cards to flip them, and they're buying cards for their personal collection. So I think it's really whatever is most interested in you. Now, you talk about your dream, and I'll talk about my MJs everywhere. This is a 20 card lot. So, I mean, I've got focal plans to keep some of those. We'll grade all of them, keep some of those, and then try to sell some of those.
Right.
So,
okay. Let's talk about that. You and me are different in regards to acquiring cards, card acquisition. You are more of a, let me buy them on the low, on the cheap, so I can get them graded and flip it for a higher return. I think I'm more, I want to kind of skip that process and get a graded card and see and wait till they become relevant, till they hit a game-winning shot or catch the winning touchdown or hit a grand slam, right? I think there's many different approaches, and I think that's mine, and I might, correct me if I'm wrong, if that's your approach too.
Yeah, I'm more inclined to buy very low. So what is very low? Would you say that graded cards are more expensive? Absolutely, because once they're graded, they're stamped. They've been reviewed, they've been analyzed, they've been, graded by professionals. So, once you submit these cards to grading at a professional, company, they've already gained that much value from being a raw ungraded card. So where you're grabbing these like certified, authenticity certification and, professionally graded cards at a higher price point, I feel like this is where I can get maybe a better card in a raw and then see maybe a better return. So at the end of the day, if I'm going to buy, I just bought a couple of these, these guys are dirt cheap. And these are this is what I'm into lately. I mean, let's just talk about these cards. Like I'm into this future stars insert set. I mean, they're beautiful cards. They've got the silver action going. They've got the, they're dirt cheap. You're talking about low-hanging fruit. Shout out to PSA Collector. And then this is exactly what you're getting. Like, this is what I was getting, is these low-hanging fruits, these very highly affordable raw ungraded cards that I'm planning on submitting to grading anyway. And then, hopefully I'll see that, 3, 5, maybe even 7x return on some of these at the point when I flip them and sell them.
Right.
So that's my hope.
That's a great approach, because you're spending low dollars and with the hopes of, if that, and your return is much greater. I think like I said, I have a little bit different approach. Getting graded cards, just examples of football, since football's coming up. Getting these are different kind of grades, and now I buy them on a little bit higher end, right?
Sure.
But they also sell a little bit higher, and I kind of skip the process of grading. But like you were saying, it's really on how we want to approach it, right? And for me, it's
true. You bring up the gradeds. You're saving yourself the time. So if you're getting these graded cards and you're planning on flipping them anyway, save yourself the time. Save yourself the extra, $10-20 or whatever it is to send them in to grade. I think that's also a great approach. It just depends on, like which side of the fence you're sitting on. You're over there on the graded side. I'm over here on the raw and graded side. So, I mean, I think either way, there's money to be made. That's the main idea of this whole thing. The hobby is caught fire since March. It's kind of revamped. I think basketball was the first one to kind of grow as far as the investment perspective goes, but otherwise soccer was short to follow right after that. Football's coming up. Baseball was already coming up on that, and now football's coming back up. Just to talk about some football, I've got, I'm digging up my other,
Deshaun Watson,
my old cards. I'm trying to see, when's a good time. Right now the season's kicking up this week. Let's see what these two are going to do in Dallas, right? So let's see. I mean, Amari, he's been there for a while, but he knows what to do. Same with Dak. He's supposed to be in a contract season, so he should be balling out of control, right? So let's talk about these other guys. I picked up, luckily, before everything exploded, even before basketball went up. I went back. I just had a D-Hop. He's one of the best. Arguably one of the GOATs for the wide receivers. He's chasing Andre Johnson's numbers. He was chasing Andre Johnson's numbers in Houston. So now that he's going to be with this guy, this hot rookie, let's see what they do in Arizona. It's going to be exciting to watch all of this. So that's part of the beauty of it, is that, I think there was a comparison also made from one of the other people that we follow, in how the fantasy type players are now crossing over here into the sports card market. And now that's part of why we're seeing such immediate returns on these spikes, on these peaks and valleys in card prices. I feel like that's part of why we're seeing so much rapid change. And they're getting into the game with a mindset of fantasy, but now they're applying it to their short-term investments or personal collections, which is great.
Right. Wow, great stuff. Like I said, between the two of us, we've got a good wealth of knowledge, working knowledge at least, into today's current market in terms of the hobby. And if you want more information, if you want to kind of pick our brains, if you have a question, or if you want to check out our cards, hey, we've got some great stuff. If you want to get started in the hobby or whatever the case may be, please hit us up. We are on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. It's at Rising Temps on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We also have our email. If you want to drop us an email, it's therisingtemps@gmail. What is it? You're saying?
THE. I was spelling it out.
Oh,
THE.
Okay.
Rising.
The
Temps.
Rising Temps. Yeah. Someone took our Gmail account. We're going to find you. Yeah, hit us up, like I said, and we are more than happy to answer your questions and give you feedback, or if you want us to look at your stuff. We've got some other important things that we want to talk about in future podcasts that'll help you guys for sure if you're brand new to the hobby. But in the meantime, please take a look at our stuff. We've got lots of great stuff for you guys, for the people who like the low-hanging fruit, like my brother was talking about, or if you like the graded stuff. I mean, we both have the graded stuff as well. Check it out. See what we have to offer. And like I said, if you purchase from us, we'll walk you through some of the things that we've learned and are continuing to learn, so that you guys can kind of stay up to speed with what we know and what we've got going on. So and
not make the same mistakes we did, you know?
Right.
Help us help you. And then also, I don't think you mentioned this yet, but go ahead and check out our eBay stores. As we are coming up. Now, brother over here, he is Rising Temps 1 in eBay, the number 1, and I am Rising Temps, the number 2. So you can find us. I've got my background. You'll see all my cards there. And then hopefully, you know, if you like something, buy it. If not, don't worry about it. Ask us questions at any time. We're here for you guys. We're here to learn, and we're here to help as much as we can.
If you have Hakeem Olajuwon stuff, I'd gladly take that off your hands.
I did mention that MJ was the GOAT. Close second, Kobe Bryant.
Just saying. Boom. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Again, at Rising Temps.
Hit up our
check
DMs.
us out. There
Argue
you go.
with me.
Slide in there. At Rising Temps. And we look forward to hearing and seeing and kind of just talking and bantering back and forth about this awesome hobby called card collecting and investment opportunity called card collecting. So hopefully we guys get to come back. We've got episode number 2, hopefully soon. And then in the meantime, we'll be posting, as you follow us on social, we'll be posting all kinds of great content and cards as well. So how do you want to close this out, brother?
That's it. Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch y'all at the next one.
Rising Temps, baby, because our cards are hot.
They're fire.
Oh, they're fire because our cards are fire.
And it raises the temperature.
And the temperature's rising. You're killing me on this. You're killing me.
I'm gonna stop.
Okay. So
it's exciting.
You know, speaking on that, and what was our next point?
Collection, long-term investment collections versus in short-term investments. Go.
All right, so collection. Whoa, I'm verklempt and I'm excited because we're about to show off our cards. What we're about to do is we want to explain.
Start over. I didn't.